Good morning, and thanks for joining us for our Victory Over Violence, a digital series here on fox16.com, as well as KARK.com, as well as our Facebook pages. I'm Ashlei King, joined by my co-host Robert Holt. How you doing today, Robert?
You know, I'm absolutely incredible. Of course, as you can see, I'm in another location.
I know
Than
you move
normal.
every time.
I'm trying to keep you, keep you guessing.
Okay,
Trying to keep you on your toes.
I like
So
that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
speaking of keeping on your toes, I
Yes.
understand something happened to you this past week or couple
About
weeks or so.
about 2 weeks ago at this
Yeah,
point. 2 weeks
yeah,
ago tomorrow, actually.
2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah,
So what happened to you?
I got married. I
Woo!
know, it's crazy.
It's about time.
Yeah, it is about time, that's for sure. Officially off the market, right?
Yeah, but I don't think you were really ever on the market. I mean, come on, let's be
True,
real.
that is
You
true.
guys have been sweet. Listen, I wish you could, one day you're going to have to tell everybody your story because it is a Prince Charming kind of story. And
I don't know about all that, but
yeah,
if
yeah,
that, I'll let you have it.
yeah.
Yeah, but no, I'm happy. We're back. We went to Vegas and got married there, and had about 70 people there. So,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I was actually, I mean, sorry, I didn't dress up today for you, but I was going to actually wear my tux. I have a tux. I was
Oh,
going to put my tux on for
do
you
you
today.
now?
Yeah. I was going to put my tux on for you, but I thought,
Yeah.
nah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all
Yep.
right.
Well, but I'm back now, and we're back to doing what we do every other
Yep.
week, talking about
Yep.
ways to declare victory over violence, and of course,
Whew.
mentoring is something we always like to talk about.
And we need lots of victory
Hmm.
over violence right now. I can tell you,
We do.
we need love more than ever.
Yeah.
And this, the young lady that we have today, I tell you, she is a bundle of love.
She is.
And yeah, I'm excited to have her
Well,
on here.
go ahead and introduce her then.
Oh, okay. Well, Miss Vicki Harmon, she from El Dorado, and I'll let her tell you the title of her mentoring program. But she is a mentoring guru. Now she won't admit that, but she is. She's one of the great people in our state
Hmm.
that really understands how to get adults involved in children's lives and how to get children involved in wanting to have adults in their lives.
Yeah.
And so she's been very successful down in Union County in El Dorado through the violence intervention programs that are down there, and so she's a great joy. So Miss
Cool.
Vicki Harmon, how are you?
Yes.
I'm fine. Thank you all for having me. I feel
Yes.
honored to be here, and I think you speak in jest. See, water is in here, but anyway, I love mentoring. I'm very passionate about it, but I think it was just a godsend to us. I'm involved as the coordinator for the church adopted school mentoring program.
And can you explain a little bit about what that is?
Yes, that's where members of a church will partner with the local school district and then adopt a school within that district. And so we began in 2013. We went to Dr. Tony Evans training on the church adopted school. He has a national platform where he was trying to recruit 1,000 churches to join what he was already doing in the Dallas area. They were in 65 school districts in Dallas, so or schools, not districts, but and just were having tremendous success there. They had been promoted by Presidents Bush and Obama as the star and model church faith based mentoring program. And they also did other things for the family, like pregnancy intervention and GEDs and just all kinds of social programs to help. Once they started with the mentoring, then it just evolved into other things that they could help their community with.
Oh, that's pretty amazing. So, so your church there got involved. So, can you just kind of explain, like, what school did your church adopt, and like, how did that all happen?
Yes, we had 4 educators in our church that, well, we found out about this in Dr. Evans' book. It was in the back. It was called The Turnaround Agenda that they were involved in, and he was promoting that, and his daughter had written a book, and it was in the back of that book. So anyway, we got together as a small committee from our church and with our educators and said, is this something that y'all think we would be interested in? Is there a need? And one of the ladies in our church was the chair of the science department for the school district. And so she said this is something that they had been looking into for over a year through the district because they knew it was a huge need. And so through all that, 4 of us went to his training in Dallas, and we brought it back to our church. We found out once we were there, you have to have the pastor's permission and support for you to get started. And so we said, okay, we got the cart before the horse, let's start there. We went to our pastors and they were all supportive. And so then we went to the school district and they had total buy-in to this. And so it's just churches recruiting people from their church because we know our members and the church is called to serve, and the school needs people to come serve. And we had tried mentoring before, where they solicited the mentors, but it was just too much responsibility and hassle on their side. So they like this because we have a memorandum of understanding with them. So if it doesn't work, then they can excuse us, or if we don't like it, we can excuse ourselves. So there's a contract there. So there is some buy-in on both sides, but we selected an elementary school that our science chair as her I guess it was her district school. And so it was also the largest elementary in El Dorado, and one that got that needed the most support. Okay, we'll just put it like that. But it's a great school, and they were really trying to rebuild it. And so it had about 750 kids in that school when we started. So
do you let me stop you here, Vicki, real quick.
Sure.
So you guys had a committee meeting, you met and all that type of thing. When you were first meeting and first talking about it, was there any type of fear though that some people, might have, as it relates to going into a school and mentoring?
Well, the reason, and Dr. Evans presents this as well, the reason the churches, the schools like churches coming in because we have common goals. We don't go in and present our religion.
Yeah, you don't proselytize.
We do not, but it does come up when they ask, why are you here? You can tell them, because I love you. Jesus loves you. My church loves you. If they ask, but we don't go in and try to influence a child. But we do have common goals as far as being drug-free, promoting no sex before marriage, good decision-making, being a good citizen, loving your neighbor, all that the school supports as well. So that's our common goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It makes all the sense in the world.
Okay. So, but once we started with our school, then we found out how many mentors we would have. And Dr. Evans' formula is 1 mentor for 4 children. We tried that and we backed down to 3 children, no more than 3, because we don't know how teachers do it. We have a teacher that can keep a child's attention for a whole day. So anyway, we backed down to 3 per mentor. Sometimes it's just 2, but so we started with 23 mentors from Wyatt, from my church, and then we would also support that school in other ways. Brunches for them.
Okay, wait a minute. I gotta stop you. Okay. Did you just hear that, Ashley? They started with 23 members at their church in mentoring. And so my question, Vicki, is how did you recruit those 23 members just in your church? How'd you do that?
Well, we just presented it, and it helped, having someone from our school district that was also a member of our church. And we just, and we just had people ready to work. this is just local missions for our church, because we did a lot of missions abroad and other places, but we weren't doing that much at our church locally. And we didn't really have a grasp on what our community was like, quite honestly. We didn't know problems that they were facing. And so it really opened our eyes. It broadened our understanding, but it broadened our love and deepened us for just these kids, because they're real honest and they are in real tough situations. And, all of us face tough situations. So we're all the same, but it was just a way for us to support the teachers, support the parents, and help them. I mean, last week, I've gotten calls from 3 of my girls' moms, just texting, asking, can you do this? Because we've gotten a big rapport with them through the years. And that's what's really been a blessing to us, is that we know the kids, we know their families. And so
that's, not to cut you off, that's interesting when you said, y'all used to do a lot of things abroad, but not, here in your own community. That's very interesting you mentioned that. So what is it like, or why, what type of benefits have you seen from being, involved in these children's lives over these years?
Well, it's been tremendous, because we know these kids. I've seen my girl who was so shy in 4th grade, now is 11th grader. She's just gotten a job. She's working 2 jobs right now, trying to get a car. She's got goals. In El Dorado, we have the Murphy Promise. And if our kids aren't focused, they miss that money, where they can have free education if they don't have their grades high enough. A lot of them don't have parents that went to college, so they don't know how that process works. So we've just been able to go alongside them and just communicate just things that we've learned. I made a lot of mistakes, in high school and junior high. And if anybody can tell you how not to do it, I can tell you how not to do it. So anyway.
So how many, Vicki, how many kids do you have right now in the, I know COVID probably kind of hampered things, but today, how many kids now do you have in the mentoring program right now?
Right now in El Dorado, and also there's a few in Parker's Chapel and Strong District, because we're in 3 different districts. There's about 73 children that we work with. We've cut a lot of them are one-on-one or no more than 2. There's maybe 1 or 2 mentors that have 3 students now.
Wow.
Wow.
Can you, I know when we were talking on the phone yesterday, you mentioned to me how COVID actually didn't really impact you guys. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, we just kept finding creative ways to meet with our kids or to contact them. Like we say, we have, with their parents sign a parental permission slip. So we have their phone numbers and their addresses. And so we would contact them. Sometimes we would do video chats or whatever and send it to their parents' number so they know what their kids are receiving, but we also would do things like send them gifts, once a month. And so I would go to all their houses and deliver the gifts from their mentors. We did other creative things. And some of our mentors had other health issues, so they couldn't come back, and they still haven't come back, but we've tried to plug those students in with someone else or get another mentor to take their place. So, and that way our numbers haven't grown as much as they could, because we don't want them to leave a child that we started with, because we follow our kids every year as they go through their education progress. And some schools, they don't, they just have them 1 year and pass them on to someone else if there's a mentor available, but we wanted to follow ours and get a deeper relationship with them.
Do you see right now, as far as El Dorado, where mentoring is important because of a lot of the violence and so forth that's going on? I mean, how does mentoring affect a community when there's a plethora of violent activity? And El Dorado, unfortunately, just like Little Rock, is 4th per capita in violent activity, which is crazy.
Yeah. It's higher than it should be, for sure. But I think with someone being their accountability partner and giving them sound or reasoning. I think it prohibits that with the children that we mentor. I mean, maybe not in every case, but in the majority of the cases for sure. And that's, one way I know what's going on more in the community is because my kids, they say, hey, this is happening in the school, not that I do so much about it, but at least I know what they're faced with, and how to encourage them and steer them.
Do you see where kids are staying out of trouble in the schools because of mentoring and staying out of trouble in the community because of mentoring?
Well, that's one thing that we track. We track their grades and their attendance and their in-school discipline. So we've had a decrease every year just in their in-school discipline, but there's exterior forces out there too. But we feel like it's made a difference, and our kids, the majority of our kids will tell you that it's made a difference. One of our mentors, our mentee, said that having a mentor is having a best friend that you never knew you needed, and so and that particular child didn't have a mother in the home. She was being raised by her father. So having a female come alongside and be her extra parent was really important to her.
Yeah, that's really cool right there. So if there are any people out there watching right now who, they're a member of a church and they like to get involved, get their church involved, how can they do that?
Well, they can contact me, or they can look at the Church Adopt a School site, or Dr. Tony Evans' site on the internet, but also he has some excellent videos on YouTube about the Church Adopt a School mentoring program.
How could they call you?
Okay, well, my number is 870-918. Oh, I'm sorry, that's my husband's. Let's not do that. All right, never mind. Okay, 870-814-0900.
Say it again.
870-814-0900.
Okay. So, what do you think the hesitancies, what do you think causes individuals to not want to get involved in a child's life? What are some of those things that are hindrances that you see?
Well, for us, because we mentor during the child's school activity time, we mentor at the school. So some of the reasons people can't is that their job prohibits it. But then there's others that, just don't know that they want to make that commitment, especially those that think they might be getting older like me, oh, do I really have that much time to invest? And what if I can't carry through or whatever? But, we just sign a 1-year commitment to start with. And most of the time they can't give it up because it's just too much invested in their lives, and they just love these kids too much. Yeah. We've had very few that walk away after 1 year.
How much time does it take, like, per week with the student at the school?
Well, we just have one of their activity periods, so an hour a week. It's not a huge investment, but for the girls that I mentor, they would say, "You're coming back again next week," and they're like, "Are you going to be here on this day?" And for them to have somebody consistently in their life that shows up, that's not a teacher, not a parent, not a family member, it really has been impactful. And I was surprised by that. When I first started mentoring, I had a little girl tell me, "Oh, I was going to skip today, but it's mentoring day, so I came." And just, you ask them what's the best part about your week, and their mentoring is, that's very humbling to me for sure, because I'm no one special. I'm just somebody that really cares about these kids. So a lot of people that have flex jobs or flex lunch shifts can take their lunch break then. We have people that work shift work. We have people that are stay-at-home moms or retirees. It's just a varied just conglomerate of people. We have a lot of pastors. We have, just anybody that wants to get involved in a child's life and make a difference. You definitely can do that because it's inspiring.
I think that, one of the things that, some of our listeners might want to know is how has your efforts in El Dorado, do you think, besides mentoring, let me rephrase it. What are some of the keys in order to help with the violent activity that's going on in El Dorado besides, the mentoring? What do you think some of those keys are to help bring down some of the violent activity that's going on, not in El Dorado and Little Rock and so forth? What are your ideas on that?
Well, I mean, gosh, Robert, if we knew like we spoke of earlier, we'd be a millionaire. But I think just people having somebody that cares about them, whether it's a parent or whatever, and other activities to keep them busy. I know a lot of times, and these kids just are bored and they get involved in that. I think sometimes it's better housing. Getting them out of some of their living circumstances could get them off the streets and, making better choices because they're around an environment where, there's people with too much influence over them, maybe they're older that have already made their poor decisions and wanting to help somebody else do the same. And that's unfortunate. So those are just a few of the things, but
yeah, one of the things that we here have seen is lack of involvement, and of course you've got the mentoring going on, but there in El Dorado, if you remember, we had the surveys of all the kids, and two of the top things that the kids said that they wish that they had was, one, they wish they had more adults in the school, and two, they wish they had the churches more involved in the community. Those are that came from the kids.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just did there was a survey that was just done in CrossFit that I just got from 200 kids. Two of those, besides mental health and social media, those two things that I mentioned were two of the top 4 things that the kids said they need to do away with. The top one was social media.
So are there other churches in El Dorado then that are also a part of the program?
Right. Yes, after we came back from our training, we wanted to see if other churches were interested, and we tried soliciting other churches and explaining it to them, but it wasn't until we got the VIP grant from the Share Foundation that we had more buy-in. So there's 8 churches currently in the El Dorado Union County area that are mentoring through the Church Adopted School mentoring.
And we're going to try to get more, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Every day. So it is a big need. I've trained other churches and just things sometimes don't work out. A lot of the people got sick or, just other circumstances came up, but they have the awareness and, they support us through prayer, which is huge. Yeah. Can't discount that for sure. So we do have other churches that have been trained, and at some point maybe they will come back, but we're always looking for new churches.
Were you a little apprehensive in the beginning, like afraid? Because I know some of these kids I'm sure you are mentoring have, different backgrounds than maybe your background, and it could be scary sometimes because you don't really know how to relate to them. Were you apprehensive about it at all?
I wasn't, but I work on the side of naivety than others, but also because we started in the elementary school, we thought that was be a better place. At Dr. Evans' church, they started in high school. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to get them younger and try to prevent some of the things that they might already be, involved in by the time they get to high school. So that's where we started. We thought we had more parental support from an elementary student than maybe when they got to high school. So when you get a second grader or fourth grader, they're not so scary. So anyway, when you're taller than they are, it helps, and I'm sure I needed to get them young. So but they're just sweet. I mean, they just want to be loved, and that's what we found.
Hey, we all have feel-good stories. So give me a feel-good story. We took a group of kids out with the Nature Conservancy, and a young lady had never, they didn't even know what elk were. And we took them to see elk. And she wrote us this story, and it was just really a cool story. And she explained what we explained to her about all the elk. And do you have a story that just sticks out in your head of a child that this has really kind of gone, wow?
Well, to me, there's several, but, and, when I speak of mentoring, I know my girls, and that's my premise. And so, but, well, here's one, for instance, we have one mentor that, was writing a note to her girl, just a little note every time she met with her. And she would just give her a note and a little pencil or a little prize or whatever. And after the 3rd year, so she had changed. She was now at middle school. So she went to meet with her at middle school, and the girl didn't know what day she would start coming. But when she did come, she went and got a box of the letters that this lady had given her, that she had had in her locker, and her grandmother had kept those letters for 2 years. And then when she got in trouble at school, she wrote a note to her teacher and said, "I'm sorry, I messed up. This is what my mentor has told me I should do, and I wanted to say I'm sorry." So, that's just one. But I mean, I've walked through some really hard times with my girls. Two of them have lost brothers that were younger than them. One to cancer, one to suicide, and those are deep things for a child of that age to have, or any age. So. We've really grown together and grown in life situations.
And you've been with your girls for several years now, right?
Yeah. I started when they were 4th grade, and now they're 11th. So this is my 7th year with my girls. So, I mean, we're family. I mean, we love each other dearly. So anyway.
Yeah, wow. All right, well, we're wrapping up, coming up on the end of our time here. So is there any just like parting words, maybe if there's a church out there, or a church member or a pastor who's maybe watching this and thinking this could be a good idea, but they're kind of on the fence, what would you tell them to encourage them to do this?
I would just say, find out more, investigate, pray about it. But if God's leading you there and he opens that door, then you're supposed to be there. Mm-hmm. And that's big for us. And, mentoring is not for everybody. Not everybody can be with smaller children. They like more mature, everybody's geared differently. But everybody that mentors brings their gifts. We don't give them a curriculum that they follow. Everybody does their thing. And so it's really easier than it looks and easier than it sounds. So it's just, for us, it's 30 hours a year if we go once a week. Wow. So that's less than a week of work. So it's really a huge life changer for us and for them.
Yeah, definitely. All right, and one more, give us your number one more time too for people.
It's 870-814-0900.
Okay, perfect. And then what was that?
You can call Wyatt Baptist Church in El Dorado.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Vicki.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Vicki. I appreciate you so much.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there we have it. Any final words?
Yeah. Just having those letters in the box for 2 years.
I know.
Oh, that's a story in itself.
Yeah. There's just things you don't realize the impact that you can have on a young person's life.
Oh, just crazy. So, hey, but it's great to have you back, kid. I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful you made it through it, and
I did. I'm
back with us. So
I am back. Yep.
Ready to work.
Yes, I am. Yep. Okay. All right. Well, we will have another show in 2 weeks, so I guess that's when we'll see everyone then.
Okay.
All right. Remember, there's victory with love. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.